Hey, what happened? It's me, Lucy. It's okay.
In the pool! Ben can't swim!
Lucy, bad, bad, bad.
Hey guys, Sam here with HorrorMom.com, and the horror movie I want to talk to you about today is the movie Primate. This is a 2025 release, and it's currently streaming on Paramount for free, or you can always rent it on Amazon Prime. And when I initially saw the trailer for this movie, I looked at it and I thought this is probably just a typical animal horror flop, but I knew I was going to see it. I had hopes that it would at least just be decent. But actually, the very first thing that popped in my mind after I watched this movie was, dang, I wish I would have seen this in the theater. In Primate, we have a family who has a pet chimpanzee. His name is Ben, and he was a science project. Now he just lives with the family. And when Ben flips a switch and becomes a raging, brutal force of nature, a group of friends visit turns into a terrifying tale of horror and survival.
Ben?
I think this story was well put together and just very clever in a lot of different ways. There are a few aspects that I think really set everything up. Our movie takes place in a sick house, on a cliffside, looking over the ocean in Hawaii. The house is amazing in this movie, and it sets our characters up to be very isolated. The director did a great job of using all of the space for our story. Even though we are in the house the whole time, it feels like there's definitely different levels, and there is a huge significance to the pool in this film, so you'll have to check that out.
And now he's part of our family.
Ben, happy.
I also found it interesting that we were not dealing with just any old animal like a rabid dog or some sort of bear. This is a chimp. This animal has emotions. Ben is a smart and intelligent being, and the level of intelligence that he has and the connection to the family, it really plays a role in this film. And Ben is just not some wild animal to contend with. I really think that Primate did a great job with their character development. And one way that I think they were able to accomplish this was there is actually a horror scene right in the beginning. We start the film with that. You got a little horror in the beginning. So when they're having character development and kind of setting us up a little bit for 20 minutes, you're not feeling like it's lagging or, where are the scares? And in getting that extra time with our characters, I think it really, really paid off. I'm coming off of just seeing Scream 7 recently, and I was just not impressed with the new characters. There was no connection. So watching this film and seeing how I felt about these characters and getting to know them and seeing how they are, it made me emotionally invested. There is a lot of loss in this film, and I felt for them. I truly, truly did. And there were several times in the movie when I felt like one character would show extreme bravery for either the group or another character, and it just seemed very, very genuine. There was a lot more to these characters than an average horror film. I really did feel like they were portrayed in a certain way where you got to know them. And while I was watching the movie for a second time, I actually was really noticing how the characters were noticing how serious this situation was. I could see the evolution of terror come over their face. And overall, I really think this cast was amazing. They were all very believable, and they brought their A game. And yes, I know that this is not some Oscar-winning movie, but for a horror film, I think that they did a top-notch job. And it was, like I said, it's just one of those films I'm going to remember a lot of these details and characters and development and what happens because they all pulled it off. Another thing I really liked was that I felt like what happened to our characters was just bad luck. It wasn't because they were doing dumb things. They didn't irresponsibly leave a cage open or go upstairs when they should have gone out the door. What happens to them is just unfortunate. That's all it really was.
Who the hell has a pet chimp?
So now let's talk about Ben, our chimpanzee Ben. So let me be the first to say that the whole idea of a chimpanzee living with a family makes me super uncomfortable. I am one of those people that as the years have gone by, I have sought out and watched a lot of documentaries or shows about chimps freaking out on their owners and messing them up, and the horrific consequences that happen. So this already looked like a bad idea to me from the get-go. I find it extremely disturbing to think about some sort of animal, whether it's a primate or a bear, chasing you down and killing you, how they are going to do it, especially versus another human chasing me down with a gun or a knife. I don't want that either. Trust me, I don't want either situation, but there's something that's very, very scary about a wild animal to me. Bears have always kind of gotten to me, and the whole chimp situation, it just seems so vivid and reckless to have one. I don't know. It just kind of one of those situations that just, right under my skin kind of creeps me out. So when our friend Ben acts up, it's a little bit uneasy for me, I'm not gonna lie. Typically, when these things go bad, there is only one way they go. And a lot of times with animals, they may not be interested in just killing you, or they might be interested in eating you while you're still alive. So again, the whole animal thing is very, very scary and disturbing to me. And that made this movie just a little bit more visceral for me because animals on attack just really, really creep me out. It is one of my fears for sure. And I don't want to reveal too much about Ben the chimp. I want you guys to be surprised how everything goes with him. But what I will say is I thought that they did a very good job with the chimp. I didn't see any CGI, not to say that they didn't use any, but it did all look like practical effects to me. I'm assuming they used a real chimp for when they could, and then they probably had some sort of mechanical or costume for the other scenes, but it all looked really, really good. The gory scenes, those also looked very, very good. So I was very impressed with the special effects. It was very realistic, and there wasn't anything that I saw Ben do that I was like, no, he couldn't have done that. It was all very believable. In fact, if I was going to say anything about what the chimp did or didn't do, or if that was believable, I would only probably lean in the direction that he's probably even stronger than they portrayed him in the film. Chimps are extremely strong, any kind of primate is. And what this chimp does and how he does it, it looked about dead on to what I have experienced in documentaries and what I have read about. So I think that everything looked really, really good with the special effects. Overall, I definitely think this movie exceeded my expectations. I expected it to be just okay, to be fairly predictable, probably to look kind of goofy at times, and none of that was true. It looked really good. It wasn't super predictable, especially when Ben would interact with the different characters, once the horror starts. I think that was all pretty unpredictable. They did a good job in keeping everything very entertaining and exciting and scary and very gory. This film had a lot of gory parts and it looked very, very good. I know that's kind of sick to be smiling about, but it looked really good. I found Primate to be very intense and suspenseful. It was scary. It was brutal. The violence was very shocking, and at times it kind of made me a little bit uneasy. And it wasn't like nauseous uneasy, it was just that it was so realistic and visceral. Certain things that happened, I just could feel them, and they looked so good. There's a partial scalping in this film, and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, it really gets under your skin several times, and that is exactly what we want when we see a movie. We want to have that kind of reaction where we really are affected, and I think this movie did that. In fact, the only complaint that I have about this film is there were a few scenes that were just a little too dark, and it made it kind of hard to see, and I would have liked to have been able to see a little bit better in those scenes. But overall, not a big deal. This movie was just fun. I enjoyed it. I've watched it twice already. I think this was a really good one. I was very impressed and I was very entertained, and I would be excited to see what the director and writers do next because I think they nailed this one. I think this was really good. For a score, I'm gonna give Primate an 8.0. I had a blast watching this film. I think it was scary, gory, I think it looked great. The characters, I was affected. It got under my skin. It just had all of those great horror aspects that I really enjoy and that are memorable for me. So I definitely would recommend this one. I hope you guys go check it out. Let me know in the comments what you think if you have seen it, or come back after you watch it. Let me know what score you would give it. But otherwise, I hope you guys check this one out, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
911, what's your emergency?
Here, just send the police.